Ladies and gentlemen, in order to be successful for today's instruction, you need a whiteboard, notebook, and your McAuliffe versus Maryland court case. Luke? Secession is an act, but a secession, the act of secession, is to remove yourself from a government. You can commit secession, or a secession is a thing. Here we go. Let's start with the court case. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at McAuliffe versus Maryland. There are 15 total court cases. You have to know in order to pass this exam. This is number 2. Lucky us. So, McAuliffe versus Maryland is where we will start. Ooh, we don't need that. Oh, it works better if you plug it in. Here we go. Now, as we talked about in our notes, okay, we already did this in our notes so we could make this faster, which I am glad we did because we have to move. We got clauses to get to today. So, let's talk about it. Our petitioner is McAuliffe. Our respondent is the state of Maryland. Okay, so this is a huge case for the Supreme Court for 3 major reasons, and we're going to discuss it. Okay. In 1816, the Congress chartered the Second Bank of the United States. Okay, by being able to charter a second bank, this is what type of power of the federal government. You just learned this, Kate. What is it? It's an implied power. Now, of course, it's being tested at this point, but knowing that it's a bank is being created, it's an implied power. In 1818, the state of Maryland passed legislation to impose taxes on the bank. Okay, James McAuliffe, the cashier of the Baltimore branch of the bank, refused to pay the tax. The state appeals court held that the second bank was unconstitutional because the Constitution did not provide a textual commitment for the federal government to charter a bank. So, we are currently dealing with, does it have the power or not to do it? The questions, did Congress have the authority to establish a bank? Did Maryland law unconstitutionally interfere with congressional powers? In conclusion, in a unanimous decision, the court held that Congress had the power to incorporate a bank. So, they have successfully accomplished what? Implied powers. This is how it is sealed. Okay, just because it's not officially in this Constitution, it can exist and could not tax instruments of the national government. This is a belief in supremacy. You cannot tax this federal government. That is not your capability if you're a state. And employed the execution of constitutional powers pursuant to the necessary and proper clause. Okay, the necessary and proper clause allows implied powers occur. Implied powers to occur. So, when we're talking about McAuliffe versus Maryland, it's about whether the U.S. government has the right to charter a bank. Does it? Yes. It is also about whether Maryland has the right to tax the federal government. Does it? No, it does not have the right to tax the federal government because of what clause? Supremacy clause. Perfect. Now, the United States government can create a bank because of what clause? Necessary and proper allows implied powers to occur. This is a big deal. This is major principles the U.S. government's going to have to deal with. Marshall redefined necessary to appropriate and legitimate, covering all methods of furthering objectives covered by the enumerated powers. Enumerated powers are the ones listed, also known as what? Explicit. Okay? Marshall also held that while the states retained the power of taxation, the Constitution and the laws made in pursuance thereof of supreme cannot be controlled by the states. Perfect. So, when we talk about McAuliffe versus Maryland, what is the impact it has on the national government? What impact does it have on people like you and I? Lilith. Huh? Okay. Well, guys, is the government more powerful or less powerful after this case? More. So, the national government. The national government plays a larger role in the lives of its citizens. Okay, so the government has even more power than we thought, and those powers are called implied. Okay, what is the constitutional principles demonstrated here? There's a total of 3. Give me one, Pierce. Supremacy clause has come into. That's not how you spell supremacy, but we're just going to pretend like it is. The supremacy clause. Feds over everything. It's essentially what the supremacy clause is about. What is the second of the 3? Aiden. Implied powers. Which means what, Aiden? Okay, the Fed has more power than listed in Constitution. Okay, so implied powers. The Fed has more powers than listed in the Constitution. What is the third thing, Nick? There you go. Necessary and proper. And what is that telling us, Nick? It allows implied powers. Perfect. Well said. Allows for implied powers. Perfect. Okay, so when we talk about McAuliffe versus Maryland, it is 3 major things you have to know. Supremacy clause, implied powers, and necessary and proper clause. Why is it important? Why is it important? Why do we think? What do we got? Ty?
It establishes a bank.
Okay, it does establish a bank, and that's nice, but like big picture. Big picture, what does it do? This is laying the groundwork for what to expand its powers? The national government. So it establishes implied powers and lays foundations for expanding the federal government's power. Do you think they're going to try to get more power? Yes. Most Supreme Court cases are either between states over commerce or the federal government getting a little greedy on their power. Those are the 2 major causes of Supreme Court cases. States versus states over commerce, or federal government wants more power and they're trying to get it under the guise of implied powers. Perfect. Take out. This needs to be submitted digitally on Canvas. I'm not giving you time now to do it. Do it by tomorrow or tomorrow. I don't care, but it needs to be done. Here we go. Take out your whiteboard and your notebook. We are transitioning. Join me. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of review, and then we're going to start on clauses, which is the content of the day. Here we go. On your whiteboard, please tell me, when we talk about the word federalism, it refers to 3 entities. What are those 3 entities? When we say federalism, it refers to 3 entities. What are those 3 entities? Adam, what? Dude, show me your board. That's not how it works. What do we got? Lucas?
Federal government, state government, local government.
Perfect. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is it called when these three entities have their own domain of power and they do not interact with it? There are two phrases you need to have. What is it called when these three entities are separated? What is it, Nick? And what's the other term we can call it? Layer cake, ladies and gentlemen. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Is this used today? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Good, the answer is down. We do not use it. On your whiteboard, tell me, using two phrases, what type of federalism do we use today? What type of federalism are we using today? There's two phrases on your board. Meriwether.
Cooperative and marblism.
Cooperative federalism, which is also referred to marblism. Who can explain to me the marble? Who can explain to me with a hand? What is it, Parker?
Federal and state government share powers, but they leave out local.
There you go. So when we talk about cooperative federalism, we're talking about state powers and federal powers working together. That is what we use today. Yesterday, I taught you the 4 ways money moves from the federal government to the state. I want you to write all 4 down on your board. Do not erase it. We're going to play with these on the board for a few minutes. There are 4 ways we move money from the federal government to states. I taught you this yesterday. What are those 4 ways? Good. Anna, give me 2. Don't erase your board. Do not erase your board. Give me 2, Anna.
Grants and aid and block grants.
There you go. Grants and aid and block grants. Give me the other 2, Kate.
Revenue sharing and mandates.
Revenue sharing and mandates. Those are your 4. Everyone clear? You're going to put a star next to the one I'm describing. This one is what politicians love because it gives them general control over the money. Good. Pierce. Put a star next to the one that takes the most time to get money for, and it's typically for your larger projects. Good. What do we got? Steffi. Oh, sorry. Nope. What is it? Jillian. Grant aids. On your whiteboard, which one no longer exists? Lilith. There you go. On your whiteboard, please tell me which one does the government prefer the most? Good. What do we got? Luke? Block grant. No, that's not correct. Which one does the government prefer the most, Scout? Mandates. You can raise your hand and tell me why mandates are their preferred way to move money. Ethan? There you go. So they get to push their own agenda, like civil rights. Okay, you cannot discriminate based on age, sex, religion, or preference. With that being said, that is motivated for people to adopt by federal funding. Put a star next to the one that airports typically get built by. Good. What we got, Anna?
Grants and aid.
Why? Who can raise their hand and tell me why grants and aids typically deals with like airports and big projects? Why? Andreas?
Because the government is trying to get people to go to airports.
No. I mean, that's why they're spending the money on it. Josh?
Because you can only spend the money on the airport, like specifically, so when they give like a large sum of money, they'll just
It
spend
also,
all of it.
yeah, of course. And it also forces them to spend the money exactly where they say to.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. Put a star next to the one. That's typically, if I wanted to buy every state, every kid in Florida an iPad for school, K through 12, what is the most common way to do it? We got some dispute. The correct answer is what, Meriwether?
Block grants.
Block grants. Why? It is a lot of money
It
if
doesn't
everyone.
have to go to like a specific thing or something like that.
Kind of, Lilith.
Because block grants are given to a broad section.
There you go. So any type of any person who qualifies for education could get one, so it could just be limited. Also, it would be very hard to kind of budget and plan out every single way this is going to be moved ahead of time. So it's usually a flowing thing, which is how block grants work. If I want people to accept the new drinking age, if I'm moving the drinking age from 18 to 21, what would I use? What would I use, Adam? Mandates. There you go. All right. All of our entitlement programs use which one? Entitlement programs use what type of sourcing? Kinsland. Block grants. Okay. Why is that a bad thing? Why is the fact that our block grants are being used for all of our entitlements a bad thing? Parker.
Because programs of one state don't look like the same as others.
There you go. So are some people getting better care? Absolutely. Are some people getting significantly worse care? Yeah, that's a huge discrepancy we have here in the United States. Okay. Perfect. Any questions on funding? Are we feeling pretty good about it? Okay. Anna.
Is grants and aid categorical grants and aid?
They're like the same thing, but there's two different words for it. Now, there is a difference between the two, but in AP, we don't care.
So we just call them grants and aid?
Grants and aid are fine, but no, if you see categorical grants and aid, they're the same thing. They're basically the same thing. Now, there is a difference. Now, don't ask me too closely about what that difference is because, first year, working on it. But you just need to know there's two words for it. Does that work? Okay. On your whiteboard, please tell me. Write down the two Supreme Court cases you need to know for tomorrow's test. Do not erase them when we're done because we're going through. Good. What are the two Supreme Court cases you have to know for tomorrow? What are they, Scout? There you go. Do not erase your board if you have those two answers down. It's McAuliffe versus Madison. It's Marbury versus Madison, McAuliffe versus Maryland. Those are the two Supreme Court cases. Now, they've referenced Dred Scott decision, which we don't have to formally know. They reference it to support something. But the two big ones you have to know, non-negotiable. With that being said, put a star next to the one I'm describing. Which one is about the banks being made? Which one, Pierce? There you go. On your whiteboard, please tell me which one is about President Adams and Jefferson. Lucas. On your whiteboard, put a star next to the one that the federal government's wrong. Good. What is it, Ethan? There you go. Wipe your board. On your whiteboard, Marbury versus Madison comes up with a render of judicial review. Judicial review is when the Supreme Court can call something what? Paula, what is it? Perfect. In Marbury versus Madison, what are the two presidents involved? Oh my God, have you people learned something this week? Yeah. Steffi. Perfect. On your whiteboard, please tell me what is, let me try this again. I have a question now. On your whiteboard, please tell me there are two clauses that are supported by McAuliffe versus Maryland. What are those two clauses? Good. Good. What are the two clauses, Kate?
Supremacy and necessary purpose.
Perfect. Star, don't erase them. Sorry. Put a star next to the one that says the federal government can do whatever it wants. As long as they have the rights by the Constitution, whatever they do is the law of the land. Supremacy. Perfect. Put a star next to the one that gives implied powers. Perfect. That would be necessary and proper. Excellent. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the 3 powers the federal government have? It's also your do now today, and don't erase it. What are the 3 powers the federal government has? What are they, Andrew?
Explicit, implied, and inherent.
There you go. Write them down on your board. Do not erase it. We're going to put stars next to them. On your whiteboard. This is an example of which? Raising an army, collecting taxes, census, electoral college. These are what, Alan? Explicit. On your whiteboard, this is an example of what? Draft, banks, FBI, CIA. They are all what, Lily? Implied. On your whiteboard, please tell me. Dealing with foreign nations. Yeah, I think we all saw that one coming, didn't we? Damn it. Aiden. Inherent. On your wipe it. On your whiteboard, what clause allows implied powers to occur? What clause allows implied powers to occur? Good. Parker.
Necessary and proper.
Perfect. You are killing it. I'm so proud. Crushing it. Okay, on your whiteboard, please tell me what clause is all about the Supreme Court doing, the federal government doing whatever it has to do as long as it has those powers in the Constitution. Lucas. Perfect. By the way, I'm teaching those things today, so I'm trying to make sure you have it before I even get there so we can. Perfect. Yesterday in our notes, did we do a chart?
Yes. The federal powers. The pros and
Hold on. Let's just pause for a moment. That was very confusing. Okay. Did we see this yesterday? Okay. We're going to write this down. Write it down. We need this. Okay. So, did we?
No, we only did the federal powers.
Okay. You need this. Let's get it done. Okay, now, I'm fine with if you only write a couple of the express, implied, or inherent. Now, we could do good practice of identifying if you wanted. It's up to you. But I need you to have concurrent and reserved. Those are the big topics I want to make sure we get through. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, we have our federal powers. Federal government has 3 powers. Expressed, implied, inherent. Expressed and explicit are the same. For our sakes, they're completely the same. If you go to law school and you learn differently, well, you're in law school. It's been better trying really hard. Okay? So, that being said, the federal government has the right, has the power to regulate inter. Now, I need you to write something down. Stop with writing the chart for 2 seconds. This is a big deal because if you don't understand this, you're going to be screwed multiple times. Hello? You got a long night ahead of you, huh? That's on you, though. Here we go. Inter, right? Interstate on the top of your page somewhere. This is a big deal. Right? Interstate. That means between 2 states. Like Florida, Georgia. That's 2 states. Inter. I need you to write intra. Intra. That is 1 state. So, if I have a dairy farm, and I sell most of my cow's milk to Georgia, what type of dairy farm do I have? Interstate, because I am now in 2 states. If I, well then it's just interstate. If I sell only to the state of Florida, what type of dairy do I have? There we go. So we see the difference between the 2, because if you don't know that, that is going to blow you up on multiple times. Perfect. All right, here we go. So, of course, you know, if you wanted to make in your notes talking about federal powers, to regulate interstate commerce, is that expressed, implied, or inherent? Express. You should write an E next to it because it's an express one. Provide an army. It's express. It's express. Establish federal courts. Express. Set foreign policy. It's inherent. Yeah. Look at us identifying correctly. Holy moly, people, are you learning things? Alright, make all laws necessary and proper. It is implied. It is implied. Okay? So, if you want to identify those. Okay, so we know those, of course. But concurrent. Concurrent means both can do it. Make sure you have like a little star in your notebook and write both can do it. Both federal government and state government levy taxes. We have state taxes and federal taxes. Yeah. Okay. We spend for general welfare. So our local states, our states are doing your entitlements like unemployment, food stamps. However, the federal government is doing things like, oh gosh, what is it called, that federal program that comes in after a hurricane and gives us money? Yeah, but what's the name of it? FEMA. Yes. Thank you, Scout, for being here today. Yes. Okay. FEMA is a perfect example of a federal general welfare. Does that make sense? They show up at crises to help the American people. It's a nice thing. Enact and enforce laws. Of course, our states pay for local police departments and state police, yes? Of course, our federal government also has a police kind of system called the FBI and CIA, yes? Where they're investigating crimes that affect the general nation, not just a state or a person in a specific place. Are you okay? Yeah. And then you have state powers or reserved. You need to put a big star. This is a big deal. When we talk about reserved powers, we're talking about powers specifically given in the Constitution. These are things that are specifically given in the Constitution. So, we don't use the word explicit in the Constitution for states because we only use it for the federal government. But if we say they are reserved for the states, that means they are located in the Constitution. Now, who's going to impress me with your knowledge? Raise your hand and tell me, what article of the Constitution do these reserved powers reside in? Anna? It is 4. Think about it. It makes logical sense. The first 3 articles are all about the 3 branches of government. The 4th one is? State rights. Perfect. So, states are the only ones who can regulate intra, so inside of our state. If the tractor trailer never leaves the state of Florida, who's in charge of it?
Florida.
The state of Florida, DeSantis specifically. Okay? Establish local governments. You cannot become a municipality unless the state of Florida allows that charter to exist. So say if you wanted to create South Tampa, its own community, outside of Tampa, you'd have to get permission from the local government in order to do it. Next one, establishing public schools. Every state has its own public school system, which is both a blessing and a curse. Some states are doing really well at it. Some states are doing absolutely abysmally bad with it. Administer elections. That is literally stated in the Constitution. Okay, it's a big deal. Establishing licensing requirements. What are some licensing requirements do we have to go to the state of Florida for? Come on now. Huh? Well, what type of license, my daughter? Driver's license we have to go. Okay, what's another one?
Building permits.
Building permits. Absolutely. Andrew, give me another.
I need to think.
Voting.
Yeah.
Scuba license, you also have to do it. Fishing license, you have to go to the state of Florida. Marriage license, you have to go to the state of Florida. Huh? Voting registration. It's not a license, it's a registration, but yeah, you still have to go through the state. Lilit.
What's the con of creating a municipality? Like, why would someone want to create South Tampa?
because you can make more tax revenue and exclude more people. But it also is the burden of more bureaucracy. So then you have to come up with your own way to do the water and the sewage and all that stuff, and you would have to redo it. So it'd be, no one would do that because it would be so dumb. And South Tampa already gets the preference of the rest of Tampa because we generate more revenue by neighborhood than anyone else because our housing value is so high. Huh? Gun lessons? Okay. Don't quiz me on gun stuff. I'm from Massachusetts. We're not pro guns up there. And so, like, the nuances of guns, I don't really know. Is that fair? I think you need a license to have a gun in the state of Florida. That's why, like, I'm just genuinely uncomfortable.
If you want to carry one.
But I could just have a gun at home if I wanted to.
If you, so like, if you want to own one, you don't need a license, but if you want to carry one.
If you have one in like your car or something, you have to carry something, so when you get pulled over,
I can
you give
buy
it
one
to the
without
cop.
anything, but to carry one in public.
Yeah, this is not my people. This is not what we do. We are not gun-toting people. We just aren't. So I'm so sorry. These are questions I will not be able to answer. It seems like your peers are very knowledgeable. There's always Google. So I'm just going to be upfront with you. The gun stuff is not my forte. Perfect. Okay. Questions, concerns, comments? Okay. Guys, this is excellent. Let's do my clauses. Here we go. Clauses is your next heading. Center it. Here we go. I'm going to quiz you on as soon as we get through clauses to make sure. Okay. You need to know that the necessary and proper clause. That is our first major clause. The necessary and proper clause. It is found in what document? The Constitution. It is placed there because the founders were okay, stop right. Let me try that again. Stop writing. I don't want you to write what I'm saying. I want you to hear something and then we can talk about it, yeah? Okay, so the necessary and proper clause is located in the Constitution. Our founding fathers really did believe that this document was going to live beyond them. And did it? Yes. They also knew that they were not smart enough to predict the future, and they knew things would change. They didn't know how much it would change, but they knew it was going to change. So they wanted to set parameters so the Constitution could evolve. Is this successful? Yes, it is very successful. So the whole point of the necessary and proper clause is so the Constitution and the government can evolve to make it more effective. Write that down. The necessary and proper clause was created to allow the Constitution and the government to evolve to be more effective. Okay?
The Constitution and what?
The government. To be more effective or more effective. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, put a big star. This creates implied powers. Okay, the fact that you can submit your taxes online now is there you go. The fact that we don't have to submit a check, or beforehand we had to go and bring a thing of wheat. I don't know how they paid their taxes back in the day, but whatever. Okay, that evolution to make the government more effective. Keep in mind, it's really focusing on not abusing their power, but evolving their power. Do we see the difference between the words? What do you got?
What is the elastic clause? Is it related to this?
A little bit. We get more into that next week under civil rights, and I'll be able to elaborate. I've read about it. I put it in my stuff this morning, but I'm not confident to talk about it too much. Is that fair? It's my next week content. I want to get this done today. Okay. Your next one are reserved to states. So your first clause is your necessary and proper. Your second one is the reserved to states. Okay? It is located in the Constitution in the 10th Amendment. Okay, so it's an addition, it's in the amendments, but it's there. It is. Any power given to the states cannot be denied. Okay? These powers given to states are literally listed in the Constitution. We do not say they're explicit because they're about states. We call them reserved. That was in the chart we just did as well. So if this sounds familiar, we're just pulling that through. So reserved for states is something that is in the Constitution. In what part are most of these powers created? In Article 4, and the 10th Amendment preserves it. Keep that in mind. Okay? So, your third clause is the Commerce Clause. Okay? So, your Commerce Clause. Now, I'm telling you right now, this one is one of the most controversial ones. Okay? So this is a big deal. Okay? Commerce Clause says that the Supreme Court and the federal government are to regulate interstate trade. So if it's interstate, it's a minimum of how many states? 2. Okay? And that's the big deal. Remember, the reason why the Supreme Court was made was to stop fights between what? States. That was the original creation of the Supreme Court, is to stop interstate fighting, or between states. Okay? The Commerce Clause is the reason why most of these states are fighting. Because with commerce comes money. And everything comes back to money. The reason why you're here in this room is about money. Can we agree? You are in this room because you want to get to a good college so you can get a good job and you can have a good, comfortable life. Yes? The reason why I am here in this room right now is because I want $100. Every one of you who passed my 2 exams, you make me $100. AP World, I only get $50. You people, I got $100. So if you think I'm hustling hard because I just love teaching you, no, you're worth $100. With love. So, okay, it's money. Money is the source of everything, both good and bad, yeah? I think I'd be happier with more money. I think I would.
Money doesn't always mean happiness.
Sure, but there's like a threshold between happiness because of money and too much money means you don't have any happiness. And I would like to test that threshold. See ya. Those are your big ones, guys. That's it. Supremacy, but we've covered it. Reserved are listed rights given to the state. You can't be denied if they're like, states have the right to levy taxes. Federal government cannot interfere with.
Tomorrow.
I'm gonna be sick.
When she called on me, I'm like, boy, what the fuck?
For these,
Yeah, this is explicit. Declare war is explicit. Because in the Constitution, you can point to where it says army, where it says declare war. Establish federal courts, that's explicit as well. Set foreign policies, that's inherent. And, yeah. Grant, what? Yeah, that's most of them. So I log into AP Central and I look at all the possible questions and I'm trying to pull from different angles and different stems. I always try to pull easier ones, I pull the harder ones, and I try to be as distributed as possible. Girl, it's not always. I'm really trying though, I hope you see.
Oh, you're doing very good.
Okay.
So I can do the quiz anytime.
Anytime you want, it'll be posted tomorrow morning.
Bring it in whenever.
Give me a box and I'll
Just
post it.
a random sheet paper?
Okay.
Alright.
Yeah, whatever you got. It's supposed to be easy.
Okay. Thank you.
See you later.
have a good day, Miss Knight.
See you, Andreas. I'll see you tomorrow.